They snap it. They're going for it. They flood it right. Caught Tyreek Hill. Stays in bounds. And Chad Henne out of the bullpen.
That was how things ended the last time these two teams squared off back in January. And now we're getting a rematch to kick off the 2021 season. Hey everybody, and welcome into our game preview this week presented by Crown Royal. My name is Matt McMullen, and this week we're joined by one of our very good friends talking about Peter Schrager from Good Morning Football. Peter, what's up, man?
Matt, let me get my Chad Henne jersey back from I'm actually in the Good Morning Football dressing room right now, and it's Chad Henne, it's Daniel Sorensen, it's Kelsey, it's all the guys who made huge plays in that game, and who, by the way, are all still on the Chiefs roster and ready to rock this week as well.
Yeah, there you go. Hoping Chad Henne doesn't play in this one, but still cemented his legend in that game. We'll certainly never forget it. You can't cheer in the press box, but I was cheering pretty loud for that one, and I have no shame. Quiet. Just combusting internally, you know? But I want to ask you about this year's matchup, and really, I think it begins in the trenches, Peter, because you see what the Chiefs did during the offseason with their offensive line, all these new starters up front, and they're really excited about that group. But what a first test here in the Cleveland Browns, a great defensive front for this team. Guys like Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, Malik Jackson, certainly a good test for the Chiefs offensive line here in week one. What are you expecting from this offensive line here against the Browns, and what kind of statement can they make here early on against such a good defensive front?
Well, here's how it goes on Good Morning Football. We do football every day in the offseason. So the Chiefs rebuilding the offensive line was all we talked about when it came to Kansas City, because the lasting image we have is young Patrick Mahomes, who I think is the greatest athlete in America right now, running around like a chicken with his head cut off because of the offensive line play that was going on in the Super Bowl. So I love the fact that Brett Veach in that front office there in Kansas City said, this is a problem. Not only is it a problem, let's blow the whole thing up and let's get really good at offensive line. Question I have, is Trey Smith really good, or is that a great training camp story? Is Creed Humphrey ready to start at center for a Super Bowl winning team, or is that unlikely for a third-round pick who we've never seen play in an NFL game? They'll get tested, and they'll be tested early on. That's what this league does. So here comes Clowney and Garrett, two of the best when it comes to a combined pass rush, and we'll see how the new tackles do, because last time they were up against a good pass rush, it did not fare well. It's one thing to talk about it in June and July, Matt. It's another thing to actually go do it when the lights are on and the bullets are flying.
Yeah, that's where the preseason was so important, I think, this year, because communication is so important up front, and this group had a chance to work together for 3 straight preseason games and just build that cohesion and that communication. And they say they feel ready to go for this one, so it should be a lot of fun seeing how it plays out here on Sunday. Great first test in these Cleveland Browns. Now, of course, they're protecting a guy you mentioned, Patrick Mahomes. And in September, Peter, nobody is better than Patrick Mahomes. The guy's 10-0 as a starter in the month of September for his career. 32 passing touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He's never thrown an interception in the month of September. It's crazy. So hoping that continues here against Cleveland. Now, speaking of the Chiefs offense, is there a specific matchup you're watching for the Chiefs offense against this Browns defense on Sunday?
Yeah, for sure. Look, the Browns redid their defense, and they got 2 really good players in the back end that no one's really talking about. Everyone's talking about Clowney, but like John Johnson, the third, is a really good safety, and Troy Hill's a really good player, and they got them both from the Rams. And, I'm like, all right. And yet, I think this number 28, the middle linebacker, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who's going to be playing a lot for the Browns. He might not be on the depth chart, but I know he's going to be playing a lot for the Browns. He might be tasked with covering Travis Kelce. And remember, Kelce has killed the Browns in recent years. Every time they play, Travis goes nuts. So to me, it's the matchup. How do you address when one player destroys you every single time you play? How do you address it? They have these 2 new safeties, and they have a new middle linebacker who weighs about 225 and can go sideline to sideline, rookie out of Notre Dame. That would be a big ask to say to him, hey, go cover Travis Kelce. But Travis Kelce, with some help, maybe he can hold his own. I'd be curious to see how they try to put the wraps on number 87, who I think is going to feast no matter who's on him, but they're going to have to try to find some way to limit him, and they did that in this offseason.
Well, the Browns are Kelce's hometown team, right? So it's always fun seeing him go up against them. And as good as Travis is, I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer. He seemed to take his game to a new level late last season. From week 8 through the Super Bowl, he had at least 7 catches in every single game, had like 1,200 yards and almost 100 grabs in that span alone. The guy was on another level. Now, looking at the Cleveland offense, this is a group led by Baker Mayfield entering his 4th year as a starter. Really cut down on the turnovers last year, and that helped this team make the playoffs for the first time since 2002. They also run the heck out of the football, 3rd most rushing yards for any team in the NFL last year. What stands out to you about this Cleveland offense, and how can the Chiefs slow them down on Sunday?
Yeah, I want to see what Baker does in a big moment. It's going to be a close game. I don't think the Chiefs blow them out by any means, but I think in the 4th quarter, Baker's going to have to make some plays. Now, you get back Odell Beckham. I have no idea what we're getting there. Jarvis Landry's reliable. We know that they have some running backs who can catch out of the backfield, but like in their game plan, and I watched a lot of Browns last year, it seems like it's Chubb like for a lot of the first 3 quarters, and it's like Kareem Hunt comes in the fourth quarter, who you guys know obviously very well, and it's like, all right, Kareem Hunt's our closer. For whatever reason, they go to Hunt late in the game. It's a lot of guys, but like at the end of the day, it's going to be Baker, and Baker's never beaten Patrick Mahomes, and maybe he did in college, but that was a different time, and Baker's never beaten you guys in his career, no matter what the situation was. So I'd be surprised to see anything else than a close game, but I'd be really surprised if this game doesn't come down to the quarterbacks when it's all said and done. And last year, Chad Henne found a way. Let's see if Baker Mayfield can in the big moment.
See how it plays out here on Sunday. I'll put you on the spot. Game prediction. Who wins and what's the final score?
Chiefs win. Chiefs win. That's a hard place to play. And like, I think last year, I actually made this comparison on Good Morning Football. We spent all offseason like hyping up the Texans because Deshaun Watson had this great season, and it was like Deshaun Watson. And then they came to week 1 and people were taking the Texans like with Deshaun Watson. I'm like, guys, slow down. It's one thing to talk about. It's one thing to win a playoff game here and there. It's nothing to go into Arrowhead week 1, walk into that building, and then try to flex your strength and say, we're going to win on the road. It's a really hard task. I think the Chiefs win. My score, I would say 31-24 Chiefs win over the Browns.
All right, I'm here for it. And the thing, Peter, is I know a lot of people are saying this could be a statement kind of game for the Browns. I know they're coming for the Chiefs in the AFC, but this is also a statement opportunity for the Chiefs, right? This is a team that's won 25 of their last 28 games, back-to-back Lamar Hunt trophies, trying to go to a 3rd consecutive Super Bowl. And right here in week 1, right out of the gate, they can play a team in the Browns, one of the better teams in the conference, and say, hey, we're still here. Peter, awesome stuff as always, man. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks. Keep up the great work, Matt.